In the city of Agra, on the banks of the river Yamuna, stands a building so beautiful that the first time most people see it, they cry. Not because they are sad, but because nothing they have ever seen before has prepared them for something this perfect. The Taj Mahal, built by an emperor for his dead wife. A monument so extraordinary that it has been called the greatest building ever constructed by human hands. But this is not simply the story of a building. This is the story of a love so absolute, so consuming, so devastating in its loss, that it produced the most beautiful object on earth. This is the story of Shah Jahan and Mumtaz Mahal. In 1607, a 15-year-old Mughal prince named Khurram was walking through the Meena Bazaar, the royal market in Agra, when he saw a girl selling silk and glass beads at a stall. Her name was Arjuman Bonu Begum. She was 14 years old. The prince stopped. He stared. According to the court historian who recorded the moment, Khurram was so struck by her beauty and grace that he could not move or speak for several minutes. He went home and told his father he wanted to marry her. It would take 5 years. The conventions of royal life required careful arrangements. But on the day they finally married in 1612, Prince Khurram declared that of all his wives, this woman alone had his whole heart. He gave her a new name, Mumtaz Mahal, the jewel of the palace. What followed was one of the most extraordinary partnerships in royal history. Mumtaz Mahal did not sit quietly in the harem while her husband ruled. She traveled with Shah Jahan on every military campaign, through the heat of summer and the monsoon rains, across the length and breadth of India. She was his constant companion, his closest advisor, his most trusted confidant. Court historians wrote that Shah Jahan was so devoted to Mumtaz that he barely noticed the existence of his other wives. She held the imperial seal, the power to authorize royal decrees. She interceded with the emperor on behalf of the poor and the condemned. She was not merely a wife. She was a co-ruler. And Shah Jahan, by every account, was utterly and completely devoted to her for every single day of their 19 years together. In 1631, Shah Jahan was leading a military campaign in the Deccan, in the city of Burhanpur. Mumtaz Mahal, pregnant with their 14th child, had insisted on accompanying him as always. On the night of June 17, 1631, after 30 hours of difficult labor, Mumtaz Mahal gave birth to a daughter. And then she began to die. As she felt her strength leaving her, she called Shah Jahan to her bedside. She made him promise 4 things. That he would care for their children. That he would not let his grief destroy him. That he would treat his other wives kindly. And that he would build her a tomb worthy of their love. Shah Jahan held her hand as she died. The court historian recorded that the emperor's cries of grief could be heard throughout the entire palace. When he emerged from her chamber, his hair had turned white overnight. The grief of Shah Jahan was so total, so absolute, that it frightened his courtiers. For 8 days he shut himself in his chamber and refused to eat, drink, or speak to anyone. When he finally emerged, his eyes were red and swollen. He banned all music and celebrations from the court for 2 years. He wore only plain white, the color of mourning in India, for the rest of his life. He aged visibly and rapidly. The man who emerged from those 8 days of darkness was not the same man who had entered. Something had broken inside him that could never be repaired. But Shah Jahan, as emperor, had one power that no ordinary man possessed in grief. He could build. And he made a decision that would consume the next 22 years of his life and the wealth of an entire empire. Shah Jahan assembled the greatest architects, craftsmen, calligraphers, and gem cutters from across the known world. From Persia came the master architect Ustad Ahmed Lahori, the man credited with the overall design. From Central Asia came specialists in dome construction. From Italy came craftsmen skilled in pietra dura, the art of inlaying semi-precious stones into marble. The design that emerged was unlike anything built before. A perfectly symmetrical garden tomb, with 4 identical facades so that the building looks exactly the same from every direction. A central dome flanked by 4 smaller domes. for minarets that leaned slightly outward, so that if they ever fell in an earthquake they would fall away from the main tomb rather than onto it. Every measurement precise to the millimeter. Every angle calculated. Every proportion drawn from the geometry of perfection. Construction began in 1632, 1 year after Mumtaz Mahal's death. 20,000 workers labored on the site every single day for 22 years. 1,000 elephants transported the white Makrana marble from the quarries of Rajasthan, 300 kilometers away. The marble itself was a challenge. It had to be translucent enough to glow at different times of day. Semi-precious stones were inlaid into the marble with extraordinary precision: lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, jade from China, turquoise from Tibet, carnelian from Arabia, jasper, crystal, coral, onyx. In total, over 40 different types of precious and semi-precious stones were used. The calligraphy of Quranic verses that runs around the great arches was designed with letters that grow slightly larger as they rise, so that when read from below at ground level, every letter appears exactly the same size to the human eye. The Taj Mahal was completed in 1653. And from the first moment the world saw it, people struggled to find words. The marble was chosen specifically for one extraordinary quality. It changes color with the light. At dawn the Taj Mahal is pink, soft and gentle as the first light touches its surface. At midday it is blazing white, almost too bright to look at directly. At sunset it turns golden, then amber, then a deep rich orange. On full moon nights the marble glows with a pale blue luminescence, as if the building is lit from within. This was not accident. Shah Jahan and his architects understood the properties of the stone and designed the entire structure to interact with light across every hour of the day. The building is not just beautiful. It is alive. The Taj Mahal is not just a building. It is an entire universe. The garden that surrounds it, the Kaaba, is laid out in the form of the Islamic paradise described in the Quran. For rivers of paradise represented by 4 water channels that divide the garden into 16 flower beds. The reflection pool at the center, perfectly aligned with the main gateway, creates the iconic double image that has been photographed more than any other view on Earth. Cypress trees represent death. Fruit trees represent life. Every plant was chosen with symbolic meaning. The main gateway, the Darwaza-i-Rawza, is inscribed with Quranic verses in letters of black marble on white. As you walk through that gateway the Taj Mahal appears, framed perfectly, as if the gateway was built as a picture frame for the view beyond. In 1658, 5 years after the Taj Mahal was completed, Shah Jahan fell gravely ill. His sons fought for the succession. His son Aurangzeb, the most ruthless of them, moved fastest. He defeated his brothers, seized the throne, and imprisoned his own father in the Agra fort, the great red sandstone fortress just 2 kilometers from the Taj Mahal. Shah Jahan spent the last 8 years of his life as a prisoner in his own palace. From his window in the Agra fort he could see the Taj Mahal across the river. Historians believe he spent hours every day simply gazing at it. The tomb of his beloved Mumtaz, visible from his prison, was all that remained of the life he had built. He was not allowed to leave. He died in 1666 still gazing at the Taj Mahal from his window. Today the Taj Mahal receives 8 million visitors every year, more than any other paid monument on Earth. It has been called the most beautiful building in human history. It was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1983. It was voted one of the 7 wonders of the modern world. The poet Rabindranath Tagore called it a teardrop on the cheek of eternity. The Emperor Babur, Akbar's grandfather, once wrote that the purpose of a great garden was to create paradise on earth. Shah Jahan took that idea further. He created paradise in marble. And he did it for love. Not for power. Not for religion. Not for legacy. For love. For one woman. For the promise he made as she died in his arms in a dark room in Burhanpur on a June night in 1631. The Taj Mahal stands today exactly as Shah Jahan built it, a testimony to what human beings are capable of when they are driven by something greater than ambition. It is the most visited monument in the world. It is the most photographed building in history. And it began with a 15-year-old prince who stopped at a market stall and could not move or speak because of a girl selling silk and glass beads. In our next episode we go back to look at the emperor who came between Akbar and Shah Jahan, Jahangir. A man of extraordinary artistic sensitivity, a passionate naturalist, a great patron of painting, and an emperor who was quietly dominated by the most powerful woman in Mughal history. The story of Jahangir and the Empress Nur Jahan, one of the great love stories and power struggles of the Mughal era. Coming next. Subscribe to the history class. See you in the next class. Disclaimer: the information presented in this video has been researched and compiled from multiple historical sources including books, academic papers, encyclopedias, and historical records. While every effort has been made to ensure accuracy, history is a subject of ongoing research and interpretation. Different historians and sources may present varying accounts of the same events. We do not claim this to be the definitive or only version of events. Viewers are encouraged to explore multiple sources and form their own informed opinions. The creators of this channel are not responsible for any inaccuracies, omissions, or misinterpretations that may exist in this content. This video is intended purely for educational and informational purposes.